What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I want to actually just focus on two Shadows cards in this video. But the fact of the matter is, they are both stealing cards, and they are both very, very good stealing cards. I am genuinely, legitimately excited about this, so yeah, let's take a look. Shout out to the amazingspidertank.blogspot.com. Or just amazingspidertank.blogspot.com. For sharing these images and making this easy. Now, weirdly enough, they are both commons. They are both cards that have shadows in the artwork, and they are both well good at stealing. Let's start off with Nithing. Now, of course, this is kind of interesting, because of course, we did previously see Nit. Now, it was a disc creature, not a shadows creature, but certainly the name here of the card does remind me quite a lot of it. So I'm going to be interested to see if there is, in fact, any correlation here. Could the shadow actually be Nit? Is this some kind of collaboration between the two of them? I think there's a decent chance that it actually is. The flavor text is one for me and one for Mr. Shadow, which unfortunately doesn't give it away. It is a 2-cost, 0 armor creature, no elusive, no skirmish, extremely weak. But when you play, you steal 1 amber for each forged key your opponent has. Okay. See, here's the thing. There are basically 4 scenarios here. Your opponent has not forged a key. It is a vanilla 2 power, 0 armor creature. Still better than Toad, because it can reap and it's got double the power, but the fact that I'm even mentioning Toad in the same breath as it should worry you maybe a little bit. Your opponent has forged a single key. So upon playing this, you steal a single amber. And it's kind of Urchin. It's not exactly Urchin, but it becomes pretty gosh darn close to Urchin. Urchin, of course, being a 1-power creature that when you play, you steal an amber. The difference, of course, is that Urchin has elusive. You have to attack it twice, once to break the elusive and then once to destroy it, whereas this just has 2 power. So, terrible, meh. And then we hit the sweet spot. The sweet spot is when your opponent has forged 2 keys. Because when your opponent has forged 2 keys, you get to steal 2 amber. And stealing 2 amber is not something we see very often. Now, there are a bunch of cards that can steal 2 amber, let's be clear, but there's always something attached to it. Take that Smarty Pants, lets you steal 2 amber if your opponent has 3 or more logos cards in play, and I kind of love this for being one of the most ridiculously specific cards we've seen. Cutthroat Research lets you steal 2 amber if your opponent has 8 or more amber, which has always really annoyed me, because if they've got 8 amber, you steal 2, they've still got 6, they've still got enough to forge next turn, and that's kind of annoying. Ronnie Risk Locks lets you steal an amber, but if your opponent has 7 or more, you steal 2. This one, incidentally, way better, because if your opponent's got 7 amber and you steal 2, then they've got 5 amber, and they're not in a position to be forging here. So, it's just, we can steal 2 amber, but it gets really, really awkward. I mean, the one I think I've seen used best, other than obviously Ronnie Risk Locks, is probably Life Web. It gives you an amber bonus, and if your opponent played 3 or more creatures on their previous turn, you steal 2 amber. Which I actually really like, because you know when you play it if it's actually going to work or not. And also, generally speaking, at some point, your opponent is going to play 3 or more creatures in a turn. Although might not always be the perfect timing for you, but still pretty gosh darn good. The point here is that as much as I love stealing 2, we've not been able to do it very easily. Does this do it any more easily? Not really. This is a phenomenal card for that period of time when your opponent has forged 2 keys, but exactly 2 keys. It's fine when they forge 1. Of course, the 4th instance I was referring to is your opponent has forged 3 keys, but at that stage they've won the game. So I think trying to make best use of this at that stage would be a little bit sad. What would be really cool is if there was some kind of card in the future whereby when your opponent forges 3 keys, they win in 2 turns' time, or they have to forge 4 keys or something like that. I mean, it would break the game. But if we had those kind of hypothetical cards, this would be amazing. As it is, I adore it from a design standpoint, and I concede that there are definitely going to be times where this is a very strong card, but there are also plenty of times it's going to be a vanilla 2 power, and that kind of sucks. Shoulder Id. Now, I will confess, I did take a little bit of a look at one of the things that amazing spidertank.blogspot.com did say about this. Although I didn't read their entire blurb, I like this to be all my opinions, they did think exactly what I thought. Wait, does that mean we're going to have the Super Id and the Ego coming in as well? Maybe. As it is, 6 power, 0 armor with taunt. That is to say that the creatures either side of Shoulder Id cannot be attacked. You have to attack Shoulder Id instead. And it cannot fight. Just can't fight. Cannot fight. Can reap, cannot fight. However, when Shoulder Id would deal damage, you steal 1 amber instead. And here's the thing. It just says would deal damage. Not on your turn, or when attacking, just would deal damage. So essentially, if your opponent attacks you, as far as I'm reading this, and please correct me in the comment section if you think I'm wrong about this, but as far as I'm reading it, your opponent has an amber stolen. Now, by the same token, they don't take any damage. They just have an amber stolen because it does say instead, but still, you're stealing amber, and stealing amber is great. Stealing amber is awesome. You get more amber, get you closer to winning. Your opponent ends up with less amber, get them further away from winning, and that's kind of the entire game, right? The entire game is you trying to get closer to winning by forging keys, by gaining amber, while getting your opponent further away from winning by stopping them forging keys by taking away their amber. So in that regard, this is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And in theory here, you can do this over and over and over and over again. This can just keep happening. Every time you attack, every time your opponent attacks you. Now, to be fair, you've only got 6 power. You're only going to get a few attacks off here before you actually lose, by which I mean you lose Shoulder Id. Shoulder Id goes down, Shoulder Id gets destroyed, but you're still going to get a couple of turns. There are going to be a couple of times you attack with this and steal amber. And remember, back a minute ago, right, I was talking about that boar dude, sorry, Bo Nithing, but it reminds me of Boar Nit, and I was saying that stealing 2 amber is really good and that should be the aim. This could steal a whole lot more than 2 amber. Now, in reality, it's quite an easy card to play around. What's going to happen is that your opponent is going to go, ha ha ha, I'm not falling for that. I'm not attacking. Cool. But I've made this point in many videos over many games. If your opponent is deliberately not doing something that they otherwise want to do to try and hurt you, that's a win, ladies and gentlemen. That is absolutely a win. I think this is a phenomenal card. 6 power plus taunt means that you're going to survive a lot. And also, going back to my previous point, your opponent doesn't attack you. Remember, with taunt, they can not attack you, but they've also got to not attack either of the creatures on the side of it. So now there's basically 3 creatures that they're not able to attack. So if you put this down next to something like a Dusk Witch, one of those classic Burn the Witch cards, one of the cards so good your opponent has to go after it as soon as they can, means all of your creatures come into play active and gives you a huge advantage, then essentially your opponent either has to leave Dusk Witch in play, or they have to attack to try and take down Shoulder Id and then take down Dusk Witch. But if it takes them 2 attacks to take down Shoulder Id, they lose 2 amber. You steal 2 amber. If it takes them 3 attacks, you steal 3 amber, etc. There is so much potential in this card, and it makes me extremely happy. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about these two. They make me pretty happy, but of course, I'd like to know how happy they make you. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, where we talk about Keyforge and a whole bunch of other games, and please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.